We're less than 42 hours away from crowning a new champion in the NAIA Football Championship Series down to that title game on Saturday. It's going to be Grandview versus Kaiser. Also, 5 of the 10 head coaching positions that have come open so far for the 26th season have been filled. 4 of them this week. We'll talk about that, and we will ask just a small question. Was there a little bit of a snub in the NAIA All-American voting? We'll talk about that and a whole lot more here on college football this week. Good evening. Welcome to Midwest Sports Net. I'm Joey McWilliams. Glad to be along with you tonight here for college football this week. And we're going to be talking about NAIA football tonight, a few things on the docket as well. And, hey, we're even going to have a few things that we'll find out if you're ready to bet the barn this weekend. The championship game. It is here. We are headed for Crowley ISD Stadium in Fort Worth, Texas. Crowley, Texas proper, but part of the Fort Worth area of the Metroplex down there. It really is. It's a beautiful sight. I look forward to getting to show you some of that. Some of you all may be there. So let's start off properly tonight. First, I'm going to say go ahead, get involved in the chat tonight. We have a great community here. The neighborhood is a fantastic neighborhood, and you can make yourself at home. We're going to talk about small college football, and the more I think about it, with the more things that I'm hearing over the course of the week, even on the socials out there, on the internet, and how much Division I football is changing, and it's going to make its way into D2. I would say that the NAI version of college football is college football in its purest form. I haven't trademarked that just yet. But just know that you heard it first here. So in the chat tonight, let us know from where you're watching. And also, a couple of things. Who are you going to be cheering for in that championship match? Who do you think has the better chance to win? It's a rematch of 2024. Grandview coming away with a 35-7 victory there. So let's get into it tonight. And we are going to we're going to go over briefly the championship game. And why is that? It's because we've been building up to this all season long. These are two teams that have been number 1 and number 2 in the voting all season long. And how much can we talk about it? It's Jackson Waring, it's Shea Spencer, it's Dalton Van Pelt, and it's Jaden Miller. You're going to get Isaiah Toki. You're going to get Rico Portia. You're going to get so many of these players that we've talked about again and again and again all season long. Really quickly, Grandview, the number 1 team in the country, riding a 27-game winning streak, coming in, the reigning national champions, get to the championship game, and this is the route in the playoffs. The second round, after a bye in the first round, St. Francis of Indiana, 62-20 in the snow. Lindsey Wilson in the quarterfinals, 35-7 in the snow. And Benedictine, big-time matchup versus the Ravens, 17-10 victory in the snow. Do you see a bit of a pattern there? We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Then for Kaiser coming in, the Seahawks riding a 12-game winning streak. As a matter of fact, their last loss was to those Grandview Vikings last year in the championship game in North Carolina. Second round victory over Southeastern, a conference opponent, 44-16. And then they are able to advance past Marion as the Knights were removed from the football championship series field. And in essence, another bye. Second bye after that first round bye. That was in the quarterfinals. And in the semifinals last week, College of Idaho, a rematch of the 2023 semifinal game, played in West Palm Beach, and the result was the same, 36-27, another Kaiser rally and another Kaiser victory. Looking over at the chat really quickly, in the comments section, Leo watching from Sidney, Nebraska, and rooting for Grandview. So going to go ahead and stay in conference there, cheering for the Hart Conference team. I know they took care of your Ravens last week. Had a chance to visit with Coach Joel Osborne on the channel, and I think you should check that out. We'll talk about that a little bit more later in the broadcast tonight, too, but you definitely should check that out, Leo, if you haven't had a chance to see that. Very fun visit earlier this week with the NAIA National Coach of the Year. So, as we get into this championship game, we've talked about it. We've talked about these two teams. We've, in essence, all season long, been looking toward this mark and toward this game, and it turned out to be Chalk once again in the semis. That was, by the way, the semifinals didn't pick chalk. Decided to go ahead and go with one of the upsets on there. I don't know. All season long, during the playoffs at least, with the games that I've picked, I thought there's no way that all of the home teams are going to win in the first round, and they did. Well, there's no way that's going to follow up in the second round, and it was. So then I decided to go ahead and say I'm going to go ahead and pick chalk in the quarterfinals. Naturally, there were 2 road teams that won there, so I go ahead and I think I'll just go with it one more time. There's no way that the top 2 teams are going to do it again, and they did. So 1 and 2 facing each other. Here are the numbers I'd like you to remember. Grandview, 12.5 defensive points per game. That is number 1 in the NAIA for this season, moving just ahead of the number that Northwestern put up this year. The Red Raiders always have a great defense. Grandview always has a great defense. I say that. I say always. Well, I mean, there's a recency bias to that quote, and I understand that. So bear with me on this. In recent years, Grandview has had a fantastic defense. Northwestern has had a fantastic defense. Kaiser, 16.8 defensive points per game. Now, giving up some points in the playoffs in those last 2 weeks of the season as well against Southeastern was one of them, and I want to say Ave Maria, maybe Warner. Actually, Warner put some points up. Some of the biggest point production that Warner had all year long. So number may be skewed just a little bit, but again, the Kaiser defense with the bend don't break. That's what put them in the championship game. Really, I think in these playoffs, all of the last 4 years, the bend don't break, and they bow up when they need to, and they've taken care of business. And the 2023 national champions with a solid defense and a big victory, 31-21 over Northwestern. That was 2 years ago. But those are the numbers that I'm hoping that you look at when you're deciding who's going to come away with the victory in this game. We can talk about Shea Spencer. We can talk about Jackson Waring, and we have many, many, many times here on the channel and on this program in particular. We've talked about Jaden Miller and Dylan Simon and the tandem that it seems like Kaiser always has a strong tandem in that running back position, and one's going to be maybe a little more than the other, but there's always going to be that backup, somebody coming in and able to shoulder the load in the backfield for Kaiser. We talk about what Dalton Van Pelt's done, and I've mentioned over and again his numbers. They're right up there with Jackson Waring in rushing touchdowns for the season. Waring the quarterback, Van Pelt the running back, and yet his numbers have just been so instrumental all season long. The receiving core for both these teams, Isaiah Toki, we've talked about him. We've talked about, again, Rico Portia and more. But the defense really is what I believe is going to make the difference in this game on Saturday. And as much as we like putting the numbers high, we talk about our Bet the Barn segment, and we're never going to pick games and give one team a line and say that, Grandview or Kaiser, one of the others, giving up 8 points in this game and try to pick around that. We just enjoy the prop bets and the totals bets and, things like that are fun. With that in mind, even when we do the lines, generally they're going to be a higher number. Now, the line last week and the fact that, we put out 61.5 points in a game that never reached double digits temperature-wise, that was a high number. But we're all in favor of the scoring here. I think the defense that makes the stand in this game is the defense that's going to come out on top. So let's say that first. And I'm actually going to go on record tonight and give the pick at the outset. We have a few more things to talk about on the show, but I'm going to go on record and give my pick here in just a moment. I think the defense that stands up the most, the defense that does not break ultimately, the defense that bows up, and I've used that phrase many, many times with Kaiser, is the team that's going to win. The other thing that I think is going to be a factor in this game is this: 77 degrees and sunny. We're talking Chamber of Commerce weather in Crowley, Texas, South Fort Worth. It's going to be beautiful. And I want to refer you to, and I alluded to this on Sunday night, and I'm going to stick with it. I refer you to Grandview's path to get here. In the snow, in the cold, in the brutal weather, in the inclement weather, in the challenging weather. This is a team that has gone up against adversity, not only in the field, but the field itself. We know what Kaiser can do offensively. We know what Shea Spencer can do offensively. Shea Spencer 3 years ago took this Grandview team to task in the semifinals in Grandview. We know that this matchup, looking for a best of three here in just the last 4 years, coming up on Saturday. We know what Kaiser can do offensively. We've seen bursts of brilliance. We saw Shea Spencer accountable for 5 of the touchdowns, responsible for all 5 touchdowns that the Seahawks put up last week, with passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns as well. But it's a Grandview team that's put points on the board, not only fighting off tough teams in the playoffs, but fighting against that weather. That's a factor that's not going to be against Grandview this weekend. 77 degrees and sunny. Absolutely wonderful weather coming in to Crowley ISD. And I think that is the biggest X factor in the whole thing. All the players, all of it with their. We haven't seen yet this playoff season what Jackson Waring really can do. We haven't seen yet this playoff season what Dalton Van Pelt really can do. We haven't seen this playoff season. I would say we've seen a lot of what the defense can do, because it's stepped up. And again, not only going against very tough offenses along the way, but having to fight through the cold and keep everything together and make the right decisions in the snow, on the turf, in that cold weather. We've seen a lot about what this defense can do. What more can it do in weather that is just beautiful? And I think the edge in this will go to Grandview. And Michael Brooks, if you're watching this, whether it be live or on a replay, I'm sorry, because for the 4th consecutive year, I am not picking Kaiser. And I've been wrong once. And I know it's probably Kaiser's year. Lost one, won one, lost one. This is the year. There's so much to be said for factors that are not in the X's and O's. I think having Coach Russ back on the sideline last week was a big factor for Kaiser. I think it's a big factor having him back on the field after dealing with illness and all that he went through. And praise God that he's better, that he's fought through that, and he's prayed, lots of people around him praying, and they're glad to see him back on the sideline. I think it's a huge X factor. But I think the weather makes as much a difference in this as anything. And some of these players who have not been loosed really to do and to perform what they can at the level at which they really can perform, we're going to see it on full display on Saturday. And I would give the edge then to Grandview. If the defense holds up, then it limits Kaiser to less than 30 points a game. It's well documented here on the channel. We've talked about it again and again, what Kaiser does when they score at least 30 points. That number's up to 62-0 all time in program history. But we're going to give the edge to Grandview. And so, again, Kaiser fans, sorry about this one, although it may work to your favor that we're not picking Kaiser. We're going to go with Grandview. That is the official pick on Midwest Sportsnet here on college football this week. So, don't have a number for you. Rematch last year was 35-7. I do not see that number holding up again. I don't think you keep Shea Spencer and this offense down to just 7 points in back-to-back years. There's another factor here, too, and that would go into what does Jackson Waring do? We'll talk about that in the Bet the Barn segment. Let's move on then. As we've made our pick, we're taking Grandview in this one. Let's move on throughout the NAIA. 10, mind you, coaches, head coaching positions have come open. Another one actually came open this week, and then it was filled immediately. So you had to know something was in the works already. St. Thomas, as Coach Reichel stepped out from that position there, that made it the 10th opening for a head coaching spot in NAIA. Now, with 96 teams to take the field in 2026, 10, that's slightly better than 10%. So quite a number right there. Of those 10 vacancies now, 5 of them have been filled. So let's go over some of them really quickly. 4 of them this week. 1 of them filled on Monday, and that one was at Avila, where Ed Warner steps in to take over the Eagles program there, coming in for Coach Alexander. Warner with a wealth of experience. And I think that's probably a major, major understatement there. Wealth of experience, 13 seasons in the Big Ten, 5 decades in Division I football. He coached at Ohio State, was there for national championships, coached at Kansas. And this is not the Kansas when I was growing up. I'm not talking about the band Kansas. We can talk about the band Kansas another time. They're just historically great. Kansas was historically bad. Kansas and Kansas State in the 80s when I was really coming into my college football watching years as a young teenager and then into a teenager, Kansas was horrible, but not in the 2000s, not in 2007. What an incredible year that was for watching college football on the Division I level. Coach Warner was there at Kansas, so he knows a little bit about offense. And not just that, he knows something about rushing offenses as well because he coached 5 seasons at Army and at Air Force and were a part of rushing production that led the NCAA Division I in those categories. So we know that that's something there. But I want to read a quote from him this week and the press conference. And I think this is huge for recruiting at Avila. I think that this is going to make the Eagles stand out. And I think that in that area, when you're talking about recruiting the Kansas City area, you're talking about you're talking about Western Missouri, Eastern Kansas particularly. But I think when you start talking about the Kansas City area, you reach all the way into both of those states. It's far enough north. You can reach in Iowa. You can reach in Nebraska if you have a product that can stand up on the field. And Coach Warner says, look, I want to make this clear. And so he's talking about specifically not only recruiting Kansas City hard, but also building up a fan base that's there that says, we're going to have a product you need to come watch and support this product and be a part of it. He says, I want to make it clear that we're Kansas City's hometown college football team. We have a Kansas City zip code, and we're the only college football team in Kansas City. There are a lot of them around us that we're going to have to work our butts off to get ahead of them. But we want to be Kansas City's hometown football team. We want everybody in the community and at Avila to be proud of what we do. Great quote. Great way to start. Great way to bring people in to that area. And it's one of those things, too. I mean, there are some colleges in and around the Kansas City area, and with a Kansas City zip code, no less. I mean, you look at Rockhurst, which is not that far down the road, don't have a football program. Great program there. Division II program, doesn't have a football program. You're talking about some other places right there in town. You could even say UMKC. Go Kangaroos. D1, no football. This is going to be Kansas City's football team. And I'm excited about what Coach Warner brings to the table and what can go there. On Wednesday, St. Thomas, we found out that St. Thomas, there was going to be an opening at the head coach position as Coach Reichel was stepping down. Not far along in the day, we found out his successor has been named. Drew Davis, who last year entered his 4th season at St. Thomas, his 2nd season working with the Bobcats quarterbacks, and Drew Davis is going to be the new head coach at St. Thomas, the 2nd coach in Bobcat history. So congratulations to Drew Davis for getting that job. Then a couple more that were announced today. One of them earlier in the day as Mark Lillibridge has been named the head coach for Missouri Baptist. The Spartans have a new hand, and also the 2nd head coach in program history, as Coach Burianek was there for the entire time. I believe 12 seasons there. Let me look that up here. I think I have that down there. Yeah, 12 years that he was there, 34 and 84 over that 12-year period. He was the first coach in Missouri Baptist history. So Lillibridge coming in, bringing more than 2 decades of experience spanning professional football, collegiate coaching, player personnel. He played in the NFL, takes the reins of the program after serving as the linebackers coach for Missouri Baptist during the 2025 season. He's been in the NFL, the XFL, played in the AFL, I believe. And I do like this quote, and if you're a friend of the channel, then you know that this is one of those things that I'm definitely going to dig this quote. Coach Lillibridge says, I'm blessed to be selected as the head football coach at Missouri Baptist University. I'm encouraged to boldly proclaim my faith in Jesus while guiding the future leaders of this country on the gridiron. The lessons of accountability, faith, love, teamwork, and persistence will be preached daily. So shout out to Coach Lillibridge. Look forward to getting to visit with all these coaches, by the way, here on the channel. That should be a lot of fun. Really quickly, before we get to the other one, all right here, Tool Envy has joined us tonight. He's picking Grandview That is correct. All right. So Leo and Tool NV both picking Grandview. Tool NV, no surprise there. Absolutely zero surprise. I would have been shocked to have heard anything other than that. MNU. Okay, Leo. MNU is one of the suburbs. Other NAI that do not have football. I was thinking Rockhurst. Yeah, Rockhurst. It's a good program. It really is a good program up there. And you want to talk about a nice campus? That is an incredible campus up there. So many of those campuses in that Northwest Missouri area. If you ever had a chance to visit Missouri Western, which that's where the Kansas City Chiefs go, and they'll do a lot of their preseason training there is on site at Mo West. Absolutely beautiful. The Griffins have a great facility there. And Tyler Fenwick, who was a coach down here at Southeastern, so I got to know him when he was here. Fantastic guy, great coach. But I mean, Missouri West has a great campus. Missouri Western, Rockhurst, great campus there. I think I've been driven by Avila, and the reason I can talk about that, Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet is from Warrensburg. That's where she grew up. Warrensburg, about an hour outside Kansas City. Very familiar with the area. We make trips back up to that Kansas City area a lot, so somewhat familiar with that area. But I would agree with you. Mid-American Nazarene is right there. It's one of the suburbs. It's right there in I know this, Olathe, and then of course Baker, just down the road in Baldwin City, so not very far away there at all. Absolutely part of that greater Kansas City area. But if you want to talk about KC zip code, then I think that's what he's doing. But you have to own it. That's the thing, and he's absolutely saying, look, we're going to own this. We're going to own this. We're going to make everyone else stand up, and he can, to that point, say, well, yeah, MNU, they're up here, but they're in Olathe. That's great. Baker's up here. They're in Baldwin City. So he's able to say, we're right here. I have been to Avila. I think it is just right. I mean, smack dab on the line, too. So, all right. Let's go ahead. A couple more from the comment section here. In today's football world, do you want a defensive guy or an offensive guy? That's a really good question. That is a really good question. Okay, let's hang on. Let's come back to this really quickly. William Jewell is D2. William Jewell is D2, and that is and it's right there, and it's in Liberty. I've been on that campus before too, and to take nothing away from William Jewell, not the same campus as say Rockhurst or a Missouri Western. Absolutely, it's not very pretty campus, not quite the same, but yeah, they're D2 right now, and I believe they're GLVC. I think they're Great Lakes Valley Conference. Let's go back to this one for a second. That's a really good question. I'd love to hear from anyone else on this. Honestly, if you can bring somebody in that has done what, let's just take a few examples here really quickly. Let's say national championship game in Division II, what Coach Simmons did and what Coach Huckabee did at Harding prior to him, and bring in that option offense to Harding, and now they're back in the championship game for the second time in 3 years, won it back in 23. What a great offensive mind, but a lot of defense came with it. I would say the same thing, and we know, friend of the channel here, Coach Terry Harrison, what he's done at Friends, and because seriously, the whole thing changed with the offensive mindset change and the offense that he brought to the table right there. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. But then you look, the flip side of it is, I mean, obviously Grandview's had a fantastic defense. Grandview wins the national championship. If you have Jackson Waring on your side, that in and of itself is a factor in the right direction. But Grandview had a great defense too. And they held Kaiser to 7 points in the championship game. I don't think it's any coincidence that Coach Peterson, the defensive coordinator, is the guy that steps up. And so I think he's a defensive-minded guy. And I think Coach Russ, same thing. When Coach Socia left at Kaiser, Coach Russ, the defensive coordinator, he's the one that stepped up. So the question, Tool Envy, is in today's football world, and you're getting a lot of defensive guys that are taking over as head coaching positions. So I think that I'm not going to say consensus, but I would say majority mindset would be defensive guy. Now, me personally, I don't know. I think I'd like to have somebody there that can make someone say, you're going to have to absolutely outscore us because we are going to obliterate you on the scoreboard. But also well documented here on the channel, I'm 54 years old, and I heard probably since birth, I can't verify that my dad was saying this in the hospital down there in Corpus Christi, but I would say I've heard for so long, offense wins games, defense wins championships. So there you go. That has to be a part of it. I obviously you have to have both, but yeah. And to the point there, here's your point right here. Tool, you make the point. A great defense, a very good defense, great quarterback. And in the next week or two, we're going to get through the championship game. Let's go back. I want to revisit this when we talk about Grandview again for 2026. Okay, so let's bookmark that quote, and we'll come back to it because I'm already looking at 26 on Grandview, and I think we have a few things we can talk about there. Hey, Matt, late to the party. Better late than never, man. Glad you made it tonight. Who's your pick? We have a couple of Grandview picks on the table, so they're already there. And my pick is Grandview on the table there as well. One more coach that we need to mention, and this one, I saw this one late in the day. I don't think the guys at Peru posted this until after 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, maybe. It was late in the day. Sean Wilkerson taking over as the head coach for the Peru State Bobcats. So two of them. Excuse me. I found my cough button, by the way. I hope it worked. I hope that wasn't that loud because it was really loud on this end. Two coaches named today. Coach Wilkerson, part of the Peru State coaching staff for 4 seasons, and most recently served as the program's co-defensive coordinator. And I'm gonna throw out a personal note here really quickly. And thank you, Leo. I'm glad I was muted. It got loud. I think that this is just funny. I enjoy going down the road. I live a mile and a quarter from Southeastern Oklahoma State University, which school I went to, school I'm an instructor at right now, and love the athletic department. It's a good athletic department. I want to go watch the games. And so I love to go down, and I'll go watch the volleyball, football, baseball, softball, basketball season right now. And basketball is one of my favorite sports, and I enjoy watching the Savage Storm play basketball. And didn't go today because, hey, listen, we've got a live stream tonight. We've got important things to do here on the channel. So I'm not going down there tonight. But Southwestern Oklahoma State University is in town. And here's the tie there. Sean Wilkerson, in his stops as an assistant coach along the way before taking the head coaching position at Peru State, was a coach at Southwestern Oklahoma State University. There's another coach, by the way, who filled a position as head coach this week also, and again, has the tie to Southwestern Oklahoma State University, one of the assistant coaches there, and that's Chris Stutstream. You might remember him, the Rocky Mountain coach for 7 years. He's the new head football coach for Bismarck State. The Mystics are going to be out on the football field in 2027. So, a couple of Southwestern ties, and it's just funny because they're actually playing a mile down the road from my house here, basketball tonight here in Durant. So, anyway, all right, so 4 new coaches, Coach Lillibridge, Coach Wilkerson, Coach Davis, and Coach Warner at Missouri Baptist, Peru State, St. Thomas, and Avila, respectively. 5 more positions to be filled, and I would be surprised. I would be really surprised if there were not at least 1 or 2 other openings. Now, there were 19 first-year coaches at their program last year in 2025 when the season started. I'd be shocked if that number got up to 19, but I would also be shocked if it stayed at just 10, and that's where the number is now. We know there are going to be at least 10 coaches who are coaching in the first year at their program this year. Oh, hey, one other coaching note. Since we're going to be in Crowley ISD, the North Crowley Panthers, this is Crowley, Texas, and we're going to be at Crowley ISD on Saturday for the championship game. North Crowley Panthers, they won the state championship in 6A1 in 2024. Now, if you're not familiar with Texas high school football, and there's really no reason a lot of you should be, except that it's Texas high school football. That is the largest class in Texas high school football. You win 6A1, I mean, it's just right up there. It's akin to being, winning the lottery, elected governor, whatever. So, but Coach Ray Gates is stepping out of that position now. He's heading to North Texas. Now, North Texas, you may remember, the head coach, Eric Morris, there is moving to take over the position at Oklahoma State University. And then North Texas having some openings there. Among those is one of the coaching positions, I think, is a special assistant. I know that sounds like a weird term, but Coach Ray Gates is stepping in right there. All right, moving over before we talk a little bit and move on to the next segment. Yeah, Peru State improved significantly, and all season long, you go back and watch the channel. How many times did we talk about turnovers? Peru State should have had a better record than it did. Seriously, hands down. Great quarterback, offense that could produce, played defense when it needed to, turned the ball over an inordinate a number of times, and that's why they lost as many games, I think, as they absolutely did. So that's there. All right, Peru State played Grandview pretty decent this year. Grandview wearing the dreaded black uniforms and never played well. And that was a good game. It was a really good game. And you're right. I can't attest to the black uniforms, though. You would think you'd play better in the black uniforms. That would have to be something there. All right. Matt saying, liked what he saw of Kaiser, going to be in the thick of things for a while. Is that a pick? Come on, Matt. Gotta, all right. Pick a side. I picked. I didn't want to, but I picked. So you got to pick something there. You think they're going to be in the thick of things for a while. So let's, I don't know. That sounds like a pick, but I'm not going to hold you to that. So that's better. All right. Yeah, the black uniforms look better, but play worse. Okay. Some of the, I'm not going to say this universally. I'll everyone has their opinion on this, but since we're here on the channel, black uniforms, man, there's something about that. I never thought I would say that. I'm not really, I wasn't a fan growing up of that. I mean, again, go back to the 70s, 80s. When I'm playing basketball, I had the white socks, that went up to the knees. Okay. And then the little rings of, you've seen Stranger Things. So anyway, I'm assuming you've seen Stranger Things like most of the known universe has. But that was an accurate representation. Those white socks that went up there. If someone wore black socks, that means you forgot your socks that night for game night. So you had to wear whatever you were wearing, the black socks then. So I didn't grow up being necessarily a fan of the black uniforms. It's grown on me, but there's something to it. You want to pull on the all black, you better bring it that night if you're gonna wear the all black. All right, really quickly, Lynn. Let's programming note. Let's talk programming really quickly, and we'll mention this one again at the end. Okay, if you haven't yet seen it, and Leo hasn't yet seen it, go back this week. We had a chance to talk to Coach Joel Osborne. It's about a 20-minute interview. This is if you're driving to work or something and you just put it in. It's just a conversation, but it's a nice conversation with Coach Osborne. We're at number 498 in our summit episodes. We have a lot more of those planned. You're going to see more videos. We're going to go back to it now. And part of it, yes, is because the college semester is over. I'll get a little bit more time to do some more videos during the break and get to visit with coaches, not only in football, basketball, baseball, softball, some more along those lines. But great interview with Coach Osborne. Why? He's the NAI National Coach of the Year. So congratulations to him, and what a great honor for him and for Benedictine as well. Programming note, we're going to do more of those, so be looking for those, and stay with the channel here. Would appreciate that a lot if you would do that. We will, and we've mentioned it before, but I'm going to say it again. We're going college football this week, year-round now. We're just going to stay with it, whether it's 2 nights a week, 1 night a week. We'll try to be consistent when everything is, so we'll keep it up. You'll know more as we get into the month of January. Still lots of football to be played, at least 60 more minutes of football to be played on the NAI level. So we're excited about that. But please keep that in mind, because the channel's growing, and it's growing because of you, and it's growing because of just having people like you on here. And so it's just a lot of fun to be there for that. All right, so that is something. All right, let's see here. Leo says Baker loves black, seems to love black. Benedictine wears black sometimes. I like the contrasting colors. I'm a fan, by the way. All black is cool. I do like the all white, but what I like more than anything else, and let me know what you think about this. What I like more than anything else is when both teams wear the home colors. I think that would be that. Excuse me. I think That would be so cool, especially on a championship. I mean, if you get Grandview red and Kaiser the light blue, I think Kaiser Navy out there, and there may not be enough contrast with the Grandview red and the Kaiser Navy, because I think I've heard their Navy on this weekend. It still would be really, really cool. Some of those matchups are just awesome, and I think that would be a fun look. All right, let's start to wrap up here with this question. How about this one? NAI All-American list. And I don't see Henchman in Henchman 21 in the chat tonight. So if you catch this segment might be kind of for him. First team All-American quarterback. Now, we went through the first team last week. We went over the list. I think I did. I posted it up there. Jackson Waring, first team quarterback. Does anyone have a problem with that? I would think no one would have a problem with that. He is the National Player of the Year season before, first team quarterback last year. He leads his team 13-0 right now, 27 consecutive wins. He's been a part of it all. I don't think anyone would have an argument with that. Kavonte Baker, second team All-American quarterback. This according to the FCA, the NAI. I don't have a problem with that at all. As a matter of fact, I was pushing for Kavonte Baker from the summer, and I think that you have to, I mean, you look at his numbers, and it's one of those things. I was really concerned that he might get overlooked because he's not going to have the passing numbers. And I think it is such a vindication for what he did to lead his program to a 12-1 record, the one loss to a very tough Benedictine team. And so second team, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, third team quarterback. Zach Chevalier, Michael Palandri, Jackson Dooley. All of those three, third team NAI All-American quarterbacks. And you know what? I may try and see if I'm going to be in trouble or not. I have the key to the car. Someone's going to have to go pick up my son. And I don't know if Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet knows where the vehicle is. So let me, this is great, some live broadcasting here. But let me send a text. All right, let's see if that flies. All right, live broadcasting. All right, where were we? Okay, Jackson Dooley, Zach Chevalier, Michael Palandri. Anyone have a problem with any of those quarterbacks being third-team All-American? I don't have a problem with any of them. None at all. The problem now kicks in is, where do you put Jarrett Wilson? How does Jarrett Wilson not make this list? Now, Henchman 21 put some great numbers online. I saw them on the Discord a little bit earlier, and I want to bring them to you. He had some great numbers this summer promoting Jarrett Wilson and Jake Casagrande as to, who might be the starting quarterback for Montana Tech coming into the start of the season. Those two, if you remember, it was kind of a two-quarterback system the first two games, and Wilson just pretty much stepped in and took over. Jarrett Wilson is number one in the country in pass percentage, completion percentage, 74.26%. We talked about that here on the channel. What a number. Number one in the country. Also in touchdown to interception rate. Now, prior to that last game, he was 30-1. Threw one pick in the last game, so it's 30-2. Let's reduce it. 15-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Lowest interception percentage, 2 interceptions in 272 passes, 0.735%. What an incredible number that is. Okay, season records now. Highest passing yards per attempt, 10.45 yards per attempt. Best record ever for Montana Tech. And again, highest completion percentage in the NAI. And there's no room for him. Again, I don't want to take away from any of those quarterbacks, but I think that's a real letdown. And if there were any snubs, and I'm not going to say there is, I'm just saying if there were any snubs, this would have to be the one. And that's one of the things about that third team, that there's so much leeway in, you have one quarterback first team, one quarterback second team, and there are three quarterbacks in the third team. You could play with that a little bit, and there might be room for a fourth. Now, obviously, you can't just give everybody and their dog, a spot on the All-American team, or it loses its value. I just wanted to point that out, that those numbers are really, really good. And on top of that, not only the numbers fantastic, but the team was 12-1. Montana Tech went 12-0, best start to a season in program history. And there wasn't room. So again, not going to say there's a snub, but if there was, let me throw out one more thing. And if Henchman 21 gets a chance to see this, let me pitch this and see if this makes a difference in your mind. If you're gauging all of these things and it was totally up to you to make this judgment call, does this final category make a difference in your mind? All right, you ready? Jackson Waring, grad student. Cavante Baker, senior. Zach Chevalier, senior. Michael Palandri, senior. Jackson Dooley, senior. Jarrett Wilson, sophomore. And whether it's right or wrong, and I've heard people say this to me, not only on the collegiate level, but on the high school level, in dealing when I was a coach on the high school level and dealing with these things, there are times that people would not give all-state honors to someone if they were a sophomore or a freshman, even if they were the best player in the state. They would give those honors to someone who's a senior, someone who's an upperclassman. Whether it's right or wrong, do you think that's something that factored in? I don't know. I mean, and nobody told me, so I'm not saying that they did or didn't. Obviously, there are a number of players that are juniors and sophomores on this list, but there were so many upperclassmen quarterbacks that if you had to say, okay, Jarrett, wait your turn on this one because we've got to honor these guys on their way out, maybe, just maybe. So I think that's there. All right, to the comment section really quickly, and let's see. Tool Envy saying, yeah, it's a bias against Western teams. You know, I think there's when they play sometimes so late in the day, some of those games are pretty late. There were a couple of those games that were pretty late. But I mean, most of the like ridiculously late games were the OUAZ games. So Luke Jerome definitely not going to get the look on that one. So good argument. Yeah, it is a good argument. And by the way, all the credit to Henchman 21 on that because he pitched those numbers. But I think it's worth mentioning. And so I wanted to get it out here so someone might be able to see it and run with that one as well. All right, let's go here to let's wrap up. Let's bet the barn. All right, guys, betting the barn tonight. Last bet the barn of the year. Here we go. 3 of them tonight. Pretty simple, I think. And I think the lines are. I think you can go with these. Just straight up prop bets across the board. Now a couple of them are totals, but they're still. Anyway, straight up prop bets. Here's one. Jackson Waring last year. Do you remember that game? If you watched that game, he torched the Kaiser defense single-handedly. Absolutely torched the Kaiser defense. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Okay, let's say this again. Thank you, Leo. You got the cough drop in now, so I thought the cough drop unmuted me. Jackson Waring, 203 rushing yards last year. He torched that Seahawk defense. He was the X factor, he was the Y factor, he was the Z factor, he was everything about that. He made all the difference in the world in that game. There was no answer for him. Now he threw again, I think for like 130 yards. Doesn't matter. The 203 rushing yards made the difference in that game. Just seeing him sprint down the sideline for one of those runs was absolutely incredible. Now, here's the key. Here's your bet the barn number 1. Can Kaiser hold him to less than 100 yards rushing? I don't think he's going to get 203 again. And if he does, this one, go ahead and put it in the books. Well, I don't see that happening again. Kaiser knows what they're getting, and I think the defense is prepared for what Waring can do. Now, as much as what I said, he's going to be ready. He's going to be absolutely ready to play. This is a Grandview offense, even more so than the defense, that I think is just going to be loosed and ready to go in this beautiful weather in a fantastic facility at Crowley. Does he go over or under 100 yards? So there's your prop bet. All right, Leo says under. Leo says under. Last game ever, Tool Envy. Let's make sure that we get all of ours on record here. So Leo's saying under. Tool Envy, last game ever. Lots of great backs this year. Going over, but not by much. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead here, and I'm going to go ahead and pick mine and put mine on record. So if you're watching this and the replay, here we are. I'm going to go almost exactly what Tool Envy has. I'm going to say over, but not by much. I think this is an opportunity for him to show out just a little bit. And if he gets the chance, I think he's tough to stop. One of the coaches, and it may have been more than one, I was visiting with him at Grandview, the way that was described, and I think it was Coach Woodley last year. This guy is built like a Greek god. And he's a specimen. So I think it's one of those that one's going to be fun. So there we go. All right, the Iowa boys loving the weather down there so far. I'll bet they are. I'll bet they are having an absolute blast. I think it makes a difference on Saturday. Matt taking the over as well. So Leo, you're the only one that thinks he's not going to hit the century mark. That's probably putting you in a good position to win this week. All right, there we go. Next one. And if you're voting in the comment section later on, here we go. Second one tonight. Also, quarterback Shea Spencer. He was responsible for 5 touchdowns last week. Now, here's the deal. By the way, Leo, I think he's going to pass some more too. I think he has more than 130 yards passing as well. But Shea Spencer, is he gonna be responsible for that again? We know what the Seahawks do when they score at least 30 points. So there we go. Can Grandview's defense not only hold the Seahawks in check, but also hold Shea Spencer in check? Over under 2.5 touchdowns that Spencer is responsible for. That means passing or running. I suppose even receiving too if they throw out the Philly special. So, all right, let's see here. Oh, how about that? My boy plays defensive tackle, and he and Jackson essentially look the same. All right, boy, if you saw that coming, wouldn't it be something if you look up and you see a defensive tackle coming? Oh, that's the quarterback. Yeah, sorry about that. All right, here we go. Over under 2.5. Let's go. Matt, Tool Envy, Leo, anyone on this one? Don't make me put mine out there early or first. Somebody break the ice on that one. All right. I like Shea Spencer. I'll go ahead and put mine out there. I like Shea Spencer. I'm a fan if it comes to that. And I am going to say under. I think the defense kicks in. I really do. I guess I'm going all out on my Grandview pick. If Kaiser just rolls them on Saturday, I definitely have it coming. Okay, let's see here. Leo, over on TDs. Tool Envy's going under on TDs. I'm going under, and Matt says over. Shea Spencer with the over. All right. There we go. One more. This one, I don't know if this one determines the game or not. So let's see how you feel on this one. Final one, simply a prop bet. Simply a prop bet here. Who scores the first touchdown? That one didn't show up as a banner. What in the world? All right, let's see here. Let's make it scroll. There we go. Who scores the first touchdown? Grandview or Kaiser? Not who scores first. Who scores the first touchdown? That might have an impact in this one. Absolutely. May have an impact in this one. Leo's given the first touchdown to Grandview. First touchdown to Grandview. All right. Was the middle was open? The middle was open a little bit like last week. I can see that. All right, Tool Envy, Matt, you guys have a pick on this one? Leo, you're probably gonna think that I am just absolutely. I'm looking at your picks and taking the opposite. It is not true, I promise. But I'm going Kaiser first touchdown on this one. And then Grandview just takes it from there. All right, Matt's saying Grandview with the touchdown, first touchdown. Tool Envy, you want to take a shot at this one really quickly? By the way, I'm listening to the background noise here. I'm here in Studio B, but I can hear that the family has made it back in. So glad that I'm not in trouble doing a live stream and see, because here's one of the keys to the car there. There you go. All right, Grandview always takes the ball first. There's about a 50-50 if they actually score first. So you're going to go with Grandview also. Okay, I'm all on my own on Kaiser on this one. Okay, that's fine. Everyone's picked. So if you're watching this on the video on demand and you want to go back and get in the comment section, go ahead and do it. I'm watching the mute now this time. There we go. So that's our Bet the Barn segment. The hay is in the barn now. So let's go ahead and wrap up tonight. Okay. Here's wow, it was a longer show than. Thank you guys for staying with me tonight. It was a little bit longer show than what I thought. Here's what it looks like from my perspective for the weekend. So tomorrow night, heading down to the Fort Worth area. All right. And I'm going to get to see Corey from NAIF Ball. I'm going to get to see James from the Champion Sports Network. I'm going to get to see Vince from the Varsity Sports Network, Vince out in Phoenix. And so we have been getting we've been on each other's channels and on Vince's radio show actually a few times too, including last week. So we've been on the internet together, been on the radio together, and I met James in person a number of times because Durant to Waxahachie, Texas is, it's right at 2.5 hours depending upon Dallas traffic. So I've had a chance to go down there and do that. James is a great guy, but Corey has been out in Tallahassee. Vince has been out in Phoenix. And so having a chance to meet them personally, we've been looking forward to this for quite a while. And so I'm excited that we're going to get to see each other on Friday. May even do a little bit of a broadcast on Friday. Then there's going to be some behind the scenes stuff on Saturday for members. Appreciate you for being a member. And then Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, Midwest Sports Saturday from Crowley ISD. And you're going to get to see so many people on the channel in about a 30 to 45 minute segment where lots of folks are stopping by. We're going to talk about Grandview and Kaiser. We're going to get their takes on it. And it's going to be a fun morning. So we're going to wrap that segment up. And then other people have some shows. Vince's show is going to be on a Phoenix radio station out there. He's on from 10 to noon up until kickoff. I'll be on his show for a little while. There's some other shows that are going on. And so we're going to be in a lot of different places and just kind of bouncing around to different people's channels. And it should be a lot of fun. Robert, I did see Robert in the chat tonight, but I think Robert may be down there. Some other people, Tool Envy, looking forward to getting to meet you face-to-face down there. Some other people, if you watch the channel, I'd love to get a chance to meet you. And this is one of those fun times a year where we just get to say hi and visit for a little bit. We'll have a lot of content. We're trying to get a lot of B-roll. So, and I think it should just be a lot of fun. Plus, there's this thing called the National Championship game too that Tool Envy is just so dang nervous about. So, yeah, there you go. We'll leave that one up there really quickly. Now, it should be a lot of fun. This one should be a lot of fun, and I am so excited about the fact that it really is close enough to where I am that I'm going to get to, get to hang out, get to see some people, and all the years that I've been covering NAI football, it's been like in Louisiana wasn't too far away. North Carolina was pretty far away, and I don't have to get on a flight for this one. I can just get in the car and drive down and get to see everyone. So I'm excited about it. And Fort Worth is just a good place too. I think it's a good thing for the people who are coming in from out of the area. There are things to do in Fort Worth. Lots of things to do. It's Cowtown. It's a great place to be. So Doug actually is going to stop by. Man, I'm not gonna cough at all on Saturday. Just not going to. Doug's going to be a part of the show more in the future too, and I'm excited about some partnership there. And we have a few more things that are in store in 2026. But so much has been going on, and it's just been a fun ride this year. And all of it, I give you guys all the credit. I give God credit first and foremost. There's no question. But I give you guys all the credit for making it a lot of fun. And then we have one more game ahead of us. So Tool Envy's leaving at 5 a.m. Safe trip, man. Safe trip. Absolutely. Cool. I'm glad that you love Doug. I like Doug too. I think Doug's a good guy. Doug was calling a high school basketball game in Louisiana a little bit earlier. I would have had him on tonight, but I was watching him call high school boys basketball, some of those Christmas tournaments. I enjoyed coaching in Christmas tournaments. It was fun. The only thing is if you lose a terrible game, and you from a coaching perspective, if the team played terrible, which some of my girls' teams really did, guys' teams not so much, but if the team played terrible and you just lost in a horrible and hideous fashion, you've got the whole break to think about it. And so that was the only frustrating thing. You want to come out with a win. And I was about 50-50 on those. So anyway, Doug's calling high school basketball tonight, but I'm looking forward to getting to visit with him more. And by the way, he's stoked. He is stoked about getting to get to know you all as well over the course of the next few months, and then as we head on into 2026. But right now, 2025 starting to wrap up. Kickoff, noon Central from Crowley ISD. That will be on the UEN. So if you haven't been watching that, check that out as well. And I'll load up on cough drops. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Anything else tonight? I think with the Hayes in the Barn, we've done it all. Safe trip to NB. Safe trip to Robert. Anyone else that's going down, Leo, definitely watch it. Matt, I know you're probably someone you're somewhere way away from here. Watch the game. We'll talk about it on Sunday night a whole lot more. We'll have content on site Saturday throughout the day. It's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure and check that out. If you're not already subscribed, which everyone here, I know you guys are all subscribed, but I don't always turn on notifications. This might be a good time for notifications because we're going to post some things along the way throughout the day. All right. You guys are awesome. God bless you. I appreciate you watching tonight. We may even post something tomorrow night from Fort Worth. Just a little bit of content there. It should be a lot of fun. God bless you all. I really, really, really appreciate you. I cannot say enough about it. And Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet appreciates you as well, because I always come back and a smile on my face after I get to visit with you. Grandview, Kaiser tomorrow. The pick here officially is Grandview. We'll see if it works. God bless y'all. Have a great night.